Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we want to chat about Westphalia. It's a very important treaty that was signed in 1648, by which it put an end to a 30-year war in Europe that was waged between the Roman Empire itself, or what's left from the Holy Roman Empire, in one side of Europe, understanding that there is always the Byzantium Empire on the other side, under Constantinople and Constantine. That the war was waged under the pretext of religion on one side, and also the objective of some kingdoms in Europe try to have an influence on other small kingdoms, but also small counties in Europe. At the base of the war, there are two main players that we have to understand: is the Dutch, Holland, and the Spanish crown. At that time, the Spanish crown took over the Roman Empire in a way, because it's the Europe itself was considered as a part of the Spanish crown. That's the reason why it was so easy at that time to wage war in Europe or elsewhere, actually, even in the Muslim world, because there was a supranational or empire power that enabled kings to go to war easily. It was simply to tell the other side it was heretic. And there you have a stamp from God, you have a holy war, you have a legitimacy under the Holy Roman Church, isn't it, to wage war. We do have to understand that the war between Byzantium Empire and the Holy Roman Empire, or the western part of the Roman Empire that was left after the fall of the initial unified Roman Empire, they considered them, the Byzantium, as heretic, because they were not following the Pope himself. And we understand that they stormed Constantinople many times, which is Istanbul today, and twice actually. And it was a fair game for European kings to ransack Byzantium Empire on their way to Palestine. So yes, so to go back to Westphalia. Westphalia is considered as the, the, the law or a treaty that impacted our society today and our international law today itself, because it changed the way state behave between each other. Before, any state or empire or kingdom could go to war just under one pretext, which is the legitimacy of God or the church. Because we do have to understand that the church, the Catholic Church, gave the power to kings and queens to wage a war. So it was very easy to colonize others. It was very easy to expand the territories. There was no safety of respecting other kingdoms. So the bigger you are as a kingdom, the strong army you have, it's easy for you to wage a war against others. You just label them as heretic. And that's what Dutch and Holland tried to somehow counter the Spanish many times. They hopefully by 1648 the treaty was put together. So what's the treaty about actually that make it very interesting? I personally think that was the tipping point where uh, uh, modern law is born. And this is a tipping point where, if I might say, we moved from an empire system slowly to a state system. This is the moment where religion as a power broker will diminish as a power in our society. So the idea of the Treaty of Westphalia was that we have to respect the sovereign right of other kingdoms or counties or states, regardless of their size. So, this is a very important wording that impacted Europe itself, but also the world later. So this is the first time in our human history, our in our state governance history, that was somehow since 3,000 years ago, at the start of Mesopotamia and the pharaonic region. Plus, you can also go back to the the Shah culture in Asia, plus the Indus Valley itself. This is where actually the kingdom system and the empire system was built and was organized. So this is the first time that we are creating a new paradigm in the way we see our relationship together. And this is the moment where the holy power paradigm is going to start failing and fading. So this is where, if we have to go back in time and we have to point out the moment where religion in Europe and the church start losing power, this is the date. And this is also the date where, if you go back to the United Nations itself, because the United Nations refer that to in its articles very clearly. If you read basically Article 2, Paragraph 1 of the United Nations Charter, it says that the organization itself is based on the principle of sovereign equality of all its members. Remember, before 1648 in Europe or even in the Muslim world or whatever system that was under an empire system, it was very easy to go to war, because as long as you have an army, you can expand your territory. So if you look at our kingdoms, they were sometimes expanding, sometimes shrinking, sometimes dynasties are changing, etc. So it was mainly a system based on force. But Westphalia is going to change that. So this is the tipping point where our international society is going to shape into a more stable system. Not perfect, but stable, number one. Number two, this is the moment we are going to see religion losing its power broker status in our society. Because if you look back on the way we have organized ourselves in society, you have always on the top the king or the emperor, right, or the political apparatus that try to govern that region or area. And under that, you need a legitimacy based on religion, and then whatever comes down comes down. But in 1648, we are going to eliminate that superpower, uh, if I might say, the religious power as a broker in our society itself. And the United Nations took it after World War II. And actually, it's very fascinating to see that to look at paragraph 7 where it says that domestic jurisdiction, sorry, should be protected from outside interference. So you're not anymore allowed to interfere in what's happening inside the country. That's what happened a lot during the empire system, where the example, the Spanish crown interfered in Holland, interfered in many other kingdoms in Europe, just because they had that superpower or supra national, if I might say, power given by the church itself to them. Of course, it's extraordinary to see that the international community has changed radically since 1648. So basically, we could say that Westphalia created a momentum to create, to identify a legal model of international relations based on equal sovereignty. So this is also very important. So this is, if you are interested by history, please go ahead, Google it. Westphalia is, I believe, is the moment that shaped our society today. And things take time, of course. And I believe also, from my understanding, that Westphalia itself created the downfall of the empire systems, because all empire systems, either you looking at the systems that they were built in Western Hemisphere, like the Muslim, the Christian, or the Jews, or in the Eastern Hemisphere, like India or China, they all had to find legitimacy from the heavens. So you can wherever you go, you will find that. If you do a research, you will find always there is a heaven, and there is a higher power, even in China, even in India, or in Middle East or in Europe, that gave the legitimacy to the kings to do whatever they wanted, in a way that it helped foster that legitimacy in front of their citizens or servant at that time. So that's my sharing with you today. I find it interesting, so I decided to talk about it, and enjoy reading about it, please. And hope I see you next time in my channel. I'll try again to come back next Thursday. That's my favorite day because I have a little bit time and I enjoy coffee. By the way, I'm a Star Wars fan, if you are. And I will say good night from Beijing and take care of yourself in this challenging time. Bye bye. Take care.